Carl fractured 81 bones in his lower back. Maybe if he wasn't wearing those trash-ass sneakers, he wouldn't have fallen down the stairs. Millions of Americans are caught wearing trash-ass sneakers every day. You can help stop this trend. What just happened to Carl was an example of a PSA or a PIF, a type of film that's shown during ad breaks to inform the public watching it of dangers and certain services. The idea for a televised or radio public service announcement started arising at around the 1970s, but the idea of a public showing to bring awareness and to spark action on a certain scenario or situation in the world has existed as long as protests. And PSAs work very similarly to protest, whereas people found out that the more violent and the more shocking the protests, the more likely that people are going to pay attention to.
What? Holy shit!
Before we get into the video, there's one thing I need you to do, right? There's one, I say this every single time. Every time, I need it. Just one thing, and then you're done. Shh. Hey, just ignore him. All I need you to do is enjoy the video. Thanks for 50K still? Yeah, this is 55K. Peace. A quick warning, this video ramps up in disturbing level over its time, so we're gonna start off with the PSAs that aren't that bad and move up until we get to the really bad ones. Disturbing PSAs usually like to tackle certain subjects that are really sensitive and will immediately get your attention once you start hearing or seeing about it. For example, like what the Samaritans did in their early 2000s commercials. Samaritans is a mental health 24/7 hotline that you can call, and it's a whole organization that prioritizes mental health around the world. And to reinforce how important it is to look after your or your family member's mental health, this company really decided to enforce that feeling of visualizing the horror of what a bad mental health can do to you. One of their first ever really off-putting PSAs was this one called "Is There Anyone Out There?" Where as it starts off, we see nothing but an empty wall until
Is there anybody out there?
a man starts clawing and screaming from the other side of this rubber. And he is scared, bro. He's pushing through and he just wants to know if there's anyone out there on the other side. Until text pops up on the screen answering his question. I think this one really shows what I mean when I say that they're going for that off-putting nature with some of these PSAs. I also read that this certain PSA used to be shown specifically at night. So any viewers that were just chilling watching their late night show would get hit with the... Like, that is actually horrifying. Like, I'd be scared too. I'd be like, bro, did I just accidentally switch to the BDSM channel? A PSA that's more effective to me personally is one that they made after this called Scream. The ad starts off with a lady that is supposed to represent herself at the lowest point in her life, at least mentally. And she just wants all of her pain to end. She's going through all this and she just feels like she wants to tell someone about this. But when she tries to explain what she's feeling, and as she cries out for help, she slowly realizes that no one can understand her. Except the Samaritans. Supposed to represent that if you're feeling in that point where no one around you can understand what you're saying, give the Samaritans a shot and see what happens. It's a real shame that this lady's going through it, man. I mean, she would have been a god at beatboxing. They also retried this type of PSA with another one they made called the Screaming Telephone.
Your facts.
I want a divorce now. Daddy, why can't I have some new shoes?
I'm sorry, but we have to repossess your
You've
house.
been summoned to court.
I'm afraid your mother died.
You obviously didn't read the small.
Do you have insurance to cover the funeral? Daddy,
Your facts.
why can't you come and see
I'm not going to speak to you
You've
anymore.
been found guilty
And it represents how when life gets tough, you feel like nothing is working, everything's a mess, and you just want to scream. This one felt the most real to me out of all of them because the phone chatter and the yelling just all sounded so horrifyingly realistic. Although the seriousness was kind of taken away from me when I heard the scream, to be honest. I don't know, I'm probably just weird, but it kind of reminded me of a Lil Darky song.
Daddy!
Jokes aside, mental health is a very serious thing that I feel like a good chunk of people don't really feel like they talk about or get to talk about. So the link to the Samaritans is in the description along with all of these PSAs. But speaking of links, like hot links, like hot dogs. You know who doesn't like links? PETA. Got the smoothest transitions in all the West. Now, PETA is a company that's widely known for their disturbing, sometimes too extreme, displays of public service. It's an animal rights and animal conservation company with the sole goal of bringing to light how many animals are abused and stopping it completely. But as I said before, PETA can go a little bit far.
Even animal lovers can agree that these stunts were over the top. Number 9. Mother's Day madness. Mother's Day is usually a time for celebrating the woman who gave you birth. But in 2008, PETA decided to turn this typically happy occasion on its head by staging a demonstration in London to make people rethink the holiday. They put a nearly naked pregnant woman in a cage with a banner above it reading "Unhappy Mother's Day for Pigs" and one below it that encouraged passersby to go vegetarian.
I mean, at least it's effective. I'm definitely never eating bacon again. Also, yes, I just showed you a Watch Mojo clip in 2022. Did you know that they're still going? Like, it's crazy. When it comes to commercial PSAs, PETA is also on it. They've made tons. Looking at PETA's ads, it's really weird jump up and down in disturbing level, as sometimes you'll get this really cute, innocent one, then this hella dark one, then this weird animation looks like it was done by a kid's YouTube channel. But it was at one point in the early 90s where PETA figured out, oh, we can just do whatever we want, and made one of the weirdest and most horrifying PSAs of all time. Because PETA is fucking weird. I'm referencing what a lot of people know as the bear PSA, which I'm pretty sure the name is just bear torture. I'll just let you watch, and I'll explain the parts that I can't show. This man then strapped down to a chair, gets a flaming metal rod shoved through his head by another man in the room. This man afterwards then puts a rope through the guy's head and ties him back to the chair. We then see text flash on screen describing to us how this happens to bears all the time. How this is a real thing that certain hunters and torturers will do. Now, I'll give it to PETA. Showing something horrible that's happening to a human and saying it happens to animals is a good way to catch people's attention and to get people more connected with the situation. But why would you just shove live leak footage in my face to get me to donate to bears? A video of a guy getting a flaming metal rod shoved through his head. It's grainy and old, and I'm like 99% sure it's fake, because they probably could just used a puppet that looked realistic and shook him around to make him look like he was alive, or something like that, because there was not a lot of discussion about this ad, at least any that I could really find. But it's still on PETA's second YouTube channel, which leads me to believe that this was either taken off the air very early or something that they never released and they just put up on YouTube. And if you want to donate to various animal abuse charities and animal rights, that's completely fine. But to be honest, I do my research on some other ones and not just go to PETA, because PETA is fucking weird. But speaking of weird, drugs. Those make you feel weird. Also, for continuity's sake, I'm in my bedroom now. I wanted to finish this video, but there was an accident and my green screen got dirty. So shout out to that one guy in the comments who really didn't like my green screen. Why is your green screen so small? It's kinda weird looking. Your prayers have been answered. Hope this doesn't decrease the quality of the video at all. Anyway, we were talking about drugs. The problem of drugs has been all over the world, right? And different companies use different ways and tactics to try and scare kids away from these substances. For example, the popular DARE program in the 90s, which did not work. Ronald Reagan declaring the war on drugs probably got thousands of kids to do weed that day. But the US wasn't the only country to go crazy on ads about saving kids from drugs. Singapore also decided to go hard. A corporation called a Partnership for a Drug-Free Singapore made a PSA in 1998 called Toilet Rolls. Tried to get you to stop doing heroin by talking about your shit. Bro, does that say fucking diarrhea? Huh? I can't tell if that was a mistranslation or like a typo.
Oh, I better quit my heroin before I get diarrhea. Can't stand that.
Warning, if you do heroin, diarrhea flows for days. Your anus blisters. Oh, that's gross. Even the softest tissue feels like fire. This is heroin withdrawal. Nobody should do heroin because they'll give you Taco Bell shit. I mean, this was kind of terrifying, but is it really effective? Kind of makes me want to do it more, honestly. In my opinion, the more disturbing one came out next year when they dropped Guinea Pig. And this one throws a whole twist on PSAs that I haven't seen anywhere else. Similar to the PETA commercial, it starts off in a dark room with people walking around the room and a man tied down to a chair. We then hear the narrator describe to us.
No one knows how much brain damage the designer drug ecstasy caused.
As we see this man forcefully fed an ecstasy pill being experimented on.
It's still being tested. take ecstasy, you're the guinea pig.
And the final message of the whole PSA is to do ecstasy, as you are the guinea pig. How about you do those drugs and get brain cancer so we can research you? Your suffering will not go in vain, brother. This one's a little bit wild because it actually tells you to do the thing, unlike other commercials. It's like the PSA is kind of teasing you. It's like, oh, you want to do ecstasy? Go ahead, do it. Do it and become a guinea pig. Do it. Also, one of the creepiest things about this PSA is the song that plays while the guy's being tortured. People have been trying to find this song for a while, but it's completely unknown. Gotta jump in real quick, because it turns out I was capping. Here's a song that was mixed into the PSA. It was actually found. It's by the Mills Brothers.
Always heard the one you love.
But yeah, a PSA that demeans you and lets you know that once you do these drugs, you're no longer human, but the guinea pig. Takes ecstasy once, I turn into a fucking rodent. This is some bullshit. But as a lot of us know, reality can be sometimes even more disturbing than fiction. Which is why the Partnership for a Drug-Free America told the story of Michael and Janelle in 2004.
Shelby County 911.
I need help.
Where are you at?
Well, ma'am, I don't know exactly, but I'm freezing, and my girlfriend's here freezing.
Mike, I want to help you so bad, hon. I want to find out where you're at.
My phone's just about to die. You're my last chance here. We're scared. Please help us.
This is a recording of a phone call with the Nebraskan police and the couple, Michael Wamsley and Janelle Hornicle, who both went missing for days on the road on January 4th, 2004. And the couple had made multiple phone calls from 911 to try and get them help from what they described as some kind of cult attacking them.
They told me they've locked us all up in these trees up above Mandalay Apartments on Pacific. Why won't they let us out?
But the police couldn't get to them as they were in the middle of nowhere, and soon a blizzard hit their car, and for some reason they left the car and froze to death. Now, no one knows why they were out in the middle of nowhere so late. No one knows why they left their car. All we do know is that they were both high on crystal meth, which is why they couldn't give a proper, accurate description of where they were to the police. And if the police would have been able to understand where they were, they probably could have gotten to them in time. Now, when it comes to this PSA, the mention of a cult by Michael is what most people seem to focus on. Now, I'm all for speculation, and a secret Nebraskan cult with hundreds of stealth vehicles sounds like a cool-ass 90s movie villain. I more so think it was some kind of misconception or hallucination, as at this point they might have been awake for days. And not to mention all that meth in their head, which as a stimulant, it can induce sort of a psychosis and an impairment when taken in large amounts. And the premise of this commercial was just to show what could happen if you unsafely do drugs without any sort of backup. Very unfortunate circumstance, and that'll be the last real PSA we look at. There's one more PSA I want to show, and I actually made it, and it gives out a very important message. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then YouTube thinks you'll like this one too, and oh my god, we've hit like almost 100K right now. I appreciate all the messages and all the support. Anyway, that's gonna be it. Good night. More than 500,000 people die in their sleep every year. We need to stop sleeping. Go to www.wakeup/stop fucking sleeping.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. If you like RT60, you should like and